So, we go again. Welcome back. If you're joining me again, Jim McFadyen here in the Vortex Centre for Wellbeing, and this one, number 74, is going to be a wee bit different. It's something that has been brewing for probably the last 5 to 6 weeks. I have been working on it to get to the point where I'm ready to talk about it. The team, Michael and Fern, Mark and John, have been working on it behind the scenes. And just, helping it evolve and get to the place where it's at now. And number 74 is called For Those Who Serve, and it's a gift. So this week I'm going to be talking about this gift, talking about what it is, the intention behind it, where it came from, my desire for it, what it's designed to do, what I hope that it does. And as with everything, the bit that I'm at just now, I'm just about to start week 9 of this holistic cleanse that I'm on, where over the last 8 weeks, this is Thursday the 22nd of January 2026, and over the last 8 weeks, almost going into my 9th week, I was faced, after a kind of tough year, and many challenges on many different fronts and many different levels. And then just before Christmas, we faced some adversity, pain, suffering that really put us to the test on many different fronts. And going through the whole experience, always with this kind of stuff and this work, when you're in this line, the line that I'm in, you're always looking for, what's the lessons in it? What can I learn for this, and what good can come from it? Which can be very difficult when you're going through it. But if you're able to stay conscious and able to, stay aware, and see, as I did while we were going through it, what was going on, and then off the back of that, the decision that I made nearly 9 weeks ago to get my shit together and raise the bar for myself, and through that process, now over, I would say probably the last, since the turn of the year really, over Christmas was a wee bit different. It was kind of a break for this, a break from everything, a break from the work, a chance to recover, a chance to repair, a chance to heal myself, and prepare for this probably, what was coming up. I could feel that I was on the verge of, something quite significant coming through. This work and the way that it goes together, it normally comes in waves. This is my 29th year of working on myself, just January now. And to think back my experience of how it's went together for me, and the lessons that I've learned, and how I've able to get to where I am, in terms of this work that I'm doing, and how I've been able to put it together. Excuse me a wee second. I had an organic date about 10 minutes ago. I can feel a tiny wee bit. 2 seconds. Seeing how it comes together and seeing how it helps people or not, and the tools and techniques I'm sharing every single day within the community, within the programme, within the Vortex. And over the last 2 years, what we've managed to put together, and the lessons that have been learned in terms of what we've done, the online programme, the in-person work that we do, the groups within the community, and the expansion that's taken place, always, it never ever stops. It's never stopped for the day that I began and took responsibility for my life, this way of living and being, this art of intentional living, as I call it. It's been an incredible journey, and at a point now where the stage and age that I'm at in life, and over the last couple of years, everything that's been created, I'm now at a place with it where I'm looking back, and you go back over it again, and you start to for one, see the journey. Great over Christmas time, having the opportunity to stop and reflect and kind of ponder and feel where I'd been and where I was, and more importantly for all of us, where we're going. And obviously the challenges within the world and the amount of people that are suffering and struggling. And my desire always is to help as many as I can. That's always been the thing for me when I got it for myself, and really got it. After it took me 18 years every single day to really work it all out, and then experienced what I believe to be enlightenment, which is very simply, in layman's terms, which I am, the direct experience of the divinity that's inside of us, that divine spark that we carry inside, the heart and soul, every single one of us, Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, your colour of skin, what your belief system is. We come from a divine space. Call it what you like. The word God is very much, it carries so much weight behind it, and instantly people start to think about religion. And spirituality is what I believe in, and what I know to be the truth. That which all the greats, they all knew that. Jesus Christ and Krishna and Buddha, the language that they spoke. Jesus is everywhere just now. He's coming up in all sorts of ways. And the consciousness of Christ that he was able to allow to tap into, and realisation that the power that's available to us all, that's what he was able to attain and live in his lifetime. And now me, in the last probably 10 years since the Vortex opened, and in the beginning, teaching the basics, the fundamentals, to help people that were struggling, kind of mental health challenges, people that were dealing with traumas or dealing with loss, or trying to improve themselves. So very much personal development in the beginning. That's where it started for me. That's where it starts for everybody. But then eventually, as it did for me, and probably more so over the last couple of years, it's been very much about the spiritual development. Once you've got the basics, once you've worked out the kind of normal stuff in terms of you've got the ability to make your life better by the work that you do, then once you've got all the kind of plates spinning, at some point, hopefully, the question starts to come up about the spiritual stuff. And the real questions, that certainly that found me was, number one, who am I? And number two, what is this life experience all about? So it's been an incredible journey. And where I'm at just now, and again, thinking back to some of the most incredible teachers and my interpretation of some of the lessons that I got along the way, and where I'm at just now in terms of, those lessons and how they keep coming through. Just over the last couple of days, two great teachers of mine, who was all about business back in the day when I made my way back from the brinks of the gates of hell, and the brink of losing my life. When I came back, it was very much about personal development, feeling good, and what's your philosophy, and what's your intentions with your life. And back then, when I was in my mid-20s, just getting back on my feet. In the beginning, it was very much survival, and this was before the internet, so the way that I learned it was through reading books, and buying tape recordings, tape cassettes, that me and the man who got me into this were basically buying at the time from America, I believe, and we were listening to business philosophy, and as well as all sorts of other kind of different modalities, different ways of bettering yourself. That was the crux of it. And I'm going to start with two quotes today. The first one comes from a man called Jim Rohn, who was an incredible human being. He really was. He was a businessman. He started with nothing, and then what he became as a man and as a human being, and the way that it helps so many, particularly in business. And for me in the beginning it was through business, but the more I got into him and the more I started to listen to him, and there was one quote in particular that really got me onto the spiritual path, and he was talking about the significance of getting quiet and being on your own. He used to say, enter the closet and close the door, get some time for yourself. And one of his quotes, Jim Rohn's quote, was that service to many leads to greatness. And when I heard that, I was probably 27, 28 at the time. And the idea would be that, when you're helping off other people, and you serve the many as he did, through his business, expertise and acumen, and providing services for others, then you could get the exchange for what you gave to them. That would be enough to enable you to go and fulfill and become truly great. That was my initial belief in that, and that changed probably around about the time when I was really starting to get deep into the spiritual stuff. The service to many, when I began to help people, when I began to really, pass on and share what I was doing. This probably came, just before the Vortex opened, so maybe going back 15 years or so. And I was working, I was a window surveyor at the time. I was supplying South Lanarkshire Council with, the family business was supplying them with replacement PVC windows, and I would be meeting between 20 and 50 people every single day. And I was basically talking to people every single day, and at that time I was learning. I was really in a really devotional journey, of self-discovery and learning, what made me tick, and learning, the kind of different ways to improve your mental health and physical well-being. And I'd find myself, talking to people every single day who would, before you know it, they would be asking me questions and, opening up and let me know where they were in terms of their struggles and their strains and the challenges they faced. And what I found was that the more that I was talking to people and helping people, it's really where I learned to become a coach, I think. Certainly the start of it, when I was speaking to people and talking to them, the way that I was getting to feel off the back of just being able to help them pass on some advice and share what I'd been doing, whether it was, general breath work or maybe cleaning up my diet or, being aware of where I was spending my time, who I was spending my time with, basic awarenesses back then. The more that I helped people and the more people that I helped, what I found was that, the better it was making me feel. And at the time I was working full time, even when I opened the Vortex, and for all those years, probably the first 20 years of this journey for me, helping people, it was what it was all about. It was never about money. It never has been about money. It's never been about, becoming something or being the man or any of that kind of stuff. Like, fuck all that. And especially when I came back from Ibiza, whatever happened to me over there and the journey that I went through, and the version of the gym that came out the other side of that, there was no interest in any of that stuff, the third dimension and being, successful and getting the things that people chase and spend their entire life and probably many lifetimes, try to fulfill voids inside them by basically buying stuff. So you're exchanging your life for money, and then, that really short-term thrill and whatever it is, the need that's filled at that point, very quickly what you find is that, within moments normally, then you're back onto what's next. That's the way this world is set up, as consumers, it's always what's next, fulfilling addictions and desires that, you think is going to, mainly to make you feel better, even though most people don't know that. And I really had a knowing when I started to help people, and it was my initial, I suppose, realisation that becoming a coach and why I wanted to become a coach was to help people because of how it made me feel. Everybody wins, that's the philosophy, where I'm helping somebody else and then how I would feel based on, how I'd been able to help them without giving them the answers. I've never done it that way, but talking about my own experiences and then helping them find relief and even giving them the knowledge and the truth that everything's going to be okay if they decide to go down this path and take control of their life and responsibility for their outcomes in their life and go and get what's available to them the same way that I did. So the greatness that came from service, it was very, very different from right at the beginning when I thought I was going to get all this stuff because I was going to help so many people. That was right at the very start. And the second quote is for Zig Ziglar, who was another great teacher of mine. Zig was a cookware salesman. He sounds kind of like a used car salesman, door-to-door stuff, and over in America. Just travelling on about, try to sell things, chatting people's doors, making appointments probably through the business he was working in, and basically, selling people, getting in and then cookware presentations. And he was an incredible teacher and an incredible orator, as was Jim Rohn. When you hear them speak, especially live, sometimes the recordings can be a wee bit kind of almost like they're reading off a script. But when you hear Zig talking, and the humour that came through him and the way that he explains it, his quote was fantastic. He said, "You can get everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want." And again, because of his line of work and the way that he was doing it, so the more sets of cookware or whatever it is that he was selling, excuse me, I got it at last, then the more money he would make, and the better his life would become. So he would, in turn, by serving them and serving the many, he would basically get everything that he needed for him and his, for his family and the life that he went on to achieve because of that. Because he was obviously, not just good at that, but then the books that came and the audio programs, and it's like, what do you want? This feeds into what it is that I want, and my intention with this is really simple. My intention is to take this work and to help as many people as I can. The real dream and the real goal is to get the world back to the way that it's meant to be, to hopefully in some way, shape or form help people find what I discovered, to remember that I just came from building sites and playing football and out drinking and partying and all the good and the bad that comes with all of that, just a normal human being who, because of what I went through and almost losing my life, then I was put in a position where, after being given a second chance, then I went on this journey of self-discovery. Number one, to discover who I was, but number two, to discover what this life experience was all about. And what I learned on that journey and what came through over, even now to this day, 29 years later, where it's been every single day and I've never missed a single day, and how it continues to expand and evolve, and the lessons that I continue to get. My desire, especially now that the clock is definitely ticking, and with the challenges that I faced over the last year or so, and been a real wake-up call to fulfil my potential, and to not complete this work, but certainly ramp it up to the point where I'm helping more people. That's my intention, and what I get out of that, to get everything that I want. My dream is to, if we can take this to the world and get the world back to the way that it's meant to be, how that's going to feel, and how it even feels already, just the thought of that. We see it just now within the programme. I know what it's like when there's 20 people in here in meditation. I felt it this morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock, where there's probably a dozen people sitting in meditation at different stages between 3 o'clock and probably 7:30 this morning. And watching what's happened to them in their lives when they understand, how the body works and how to manage their nervous system and how to switch off their stress, and 9 times out of 10 they've slept properly, so they're waking up in a different place. And seeing those human beings and where they've been, and watching them, who they became and who they're becoming, and the impact that makes on themselves, what it makes on their partners, what it makes on their families, and then eventually when they get to take it to the world, which can take a wee bit of time, but that would certainly be the goal, to be in that state of your natural state, which is well-being and feeling good and being happy. And taking that, into the supermarket and onto the motorway and into your workplace, and really starting to bring a new way of living and being, and helping people remember, how we're supposed to feel. That's really, what this is for me. So that's everything that I want, and the desire is to help enough other people, get there, so that everybody wins. And just before Christmas, the pain and the suffering and the adversity that we faced, I was really blessed to be in the hospitals and watching the National Health Service. Natural Health Service, that's something I've been saying for years. My mum, who passed in 2020, I watched her, but the system literally killed her. She became really sick the first day she was in hospital, and again, whether it's because of my belief system, but watching the evidence of what that environment did to her, between the food, between the medication, the Wi-Fi, I know doesn't help, even the quality of water, and then many times, although more often than not the care was incredible and impeccable, but on more than one occasion, my mum, who was in her early 70s at the time and really not well, on so many different fronts, God bless her, what she went through, and a couple of times there was one or two nurses in particular that had her in tears, which was, just really difficult to take when you see somebody who was just only goodness, and watching, this system, which I believed at the time, was basically not just draining the life force out of her and no helping her. Every single time they came in and drew blood for her, I could just see her life force diminishing, and her immune system I knew was getting weaker. And then eventually it was COVID that killed her, right at the very beginning, 2020, almost 6 years now, February, Valentine's Day she died. So just before COVID brought to the world, I remember the wee doctor saying at the time, we've never seen anything like this. So she fell and broke her hip months and months previous, and if she hadn't have done that, she would probably still have been here, because the first day she went into the hospital, it was E. coli and pneumonia that she picked up in the hospital. And then it was ICU for many, many weeks, so she was never going to walk again. And then the operation from the hip, repairing her hip, and then all the prodding and the drawing of blood and just the whole thing. There was no way she was ever going to get better. And I saw it at the time, and I knew she was dying. I could feel, the bit she was in, and you added into that the medication as well, and she was no way she was going to get out of it. So when COVID eventually took her, it was almost like a relief because of the pain and suffering she was going through, and that's something that really shaped, my belief system in terms of that Disney work, whatever that is, that environment Disney work. It's no, there must be a different way of doing this. We know, and I know, that to get the body back into balance and to get it back into coherence, and to restore vitality and perfect health, there's certain things that you can do, and there's so much evidence of this now. Like the amount of people that have had stage 4 cancers, and they've had, you name it, they've had. And Joe Dispenza's the man. He's the one that's, the documentation, because of where he's at with his work, and bringing people in. And the testimonials, there's over 800 recorded testimonials of people healing from everything, and regrowing bits of their body, and doing things that modern medicine and science, you can't do. They say that it's impossible. So there's a new wave of information coming through just now. There's a new wave of inspiration. There's new, I suppose, ideas and beliefs that's backed up with evidence in terms of, what we're capable of as human beings. And the way I've been doing this for so long, and the stuff that I do, which is to help people reconnect back to that divine power, that's the goal for everybody. That's exactly what Joe Dispenza is doing, and that's where he's seen the miracles, when people tap into that unified quantum field of infinite possibilities and intelligence that we come through, and we carry inside of us. When we tap into that, then miracles start to take place. And watching before Christmas, going through the experience, I was in a very different place because of the lessons I'd learned with my mum. I have changed a lot in the last 5.5 years. I'm at a different stage. I'm probably a wee bit more mature. I'm certainly a wee bit more mature. And because I've been going through adversity myself, and starting to be a wee bit, in fact, much more aware of my own physical body, which is something I've never really taken care of, if I'm honest. I've always done the diet and the juicing and the supplements, but it's never really been, I'm probably taking it for granted, it's never really been my main focus. The Centre for Wellbeing has always been about spiritual wellbeing, and mental health wellbeing. The physical wellbeing is somewhere down the list. And going into this experience, and the level of contrast and the worry and fear that we were going through, then I had to leave all that at the door, and really get myself into the best place possible to serve the best that I could, and help in any way that I could. And over the course of a couple of weeks, being in the hospital, I was in Glasgow. From early morning sometimes till late at night, 7 days a week. It was over 2 different spells, and really probably coming from a new place of awareness and watching the level of care, the level of compassion, the empathy that the nurses, the orderlies, the every single person that I came across in that spell, just watching how they look after people, and how they do their best. It was a real wake-up call, and maybe because it was different with my mum. Maybe it was when I was a wee bit removed. I watched my dad being in the hospital 7 days a week, and sitting at her bed for 12 hours every single day. And me being in that position now, where there's probably more at stake, and bringing a different energy myself, and bringing a different level of I suppose intention, and then watching what happened, and the just incredible people that I was just blessed to watch and witness over that 2 spells over a couple of weeks. And it wasn't until the day I was leaving, because the whole time I'm watching it, and I can see, you can see the ones that are stressed, you can see the ones that are putting it on, in terms of they're having to put a face on to deal with the stuff, and some of the things that they're dealing with. You're speaking with people that are, many of them in death's door, many of them are receiving all sorts of different treatments, that are so challenging, not just for the people that are going through it, but obviously for the families as well. And watching the level of care and the level of love, there's so many of them were able to give and to gift, and the support that came with that, and the relief that they gave to people, which in really difficult circumstances, you can't put a price on that. The value of what they're doing and how they were doing it was something that really made me wake up and see it in a different way. And probably towards the end of the time when everyone we were going to get released, and everyone was going to get back to normal and get back to our lives, we started to build a relationship with a couple of different nurses, and then they opened up, and they were sharing with me Again, when you start to talk to somebody and you speak to them, as a human being, and I suppose my line of work and what it is that I do, not that I'm asking leading questions or looking to try and pry, but they would be asking me, what is it that you're bringing in here in terms of the type of water and the type of foods and the type of supplements and the juices and all that kind of stuff, which is a medicine for me. Food is a medicine, of course it is. That's the building blocks for the environment of your body. That's how the cells and the tissues and the tendons, what you put in is basically how the body's, as well as awareness and intention and your belief system, all that absolutely matters. But the importance of food as a medicine, especially when you're healing, and to take away any as much inflammation and resistance to allow the body to get back to its natural state. So they were asking me the questions, and then before you know it, we kind of struck up a relationship with one or two in particular, and then it was a final day when ready to leave, and they really opened up and started to talk about the challenges that they face as human beings. The stress, the anxiety, the inability to sleep, panic attacks, one in particular, talking about panic attacks often, as they're coming into work. And then it was just like the big penny drop moment. And actually, without putting too much planning into it, I said to them as we were leaving, like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to design something. I'm going to give you a gift that's not just for you, but I'm going to make it available to anybody within the National Health Service or within the ambulance service. And I'm going to share what I've been sharing now for the longest time. It's been the last 10 years where I've been public about it. In the last 2 years, many thanks to, and much thanks to Michael and Fern, now we've got it recorded, now we've got it documented, now there's an actual system and a programme where people can come in and they can get access to it through an app in their phone or on your iPad or wherever, where you get the digital information. And, giving people the ability and presenting probably a different an awareness as to what's possible, the ability to feel better, the ability to experience well-being, the ability to feel good, the ability to, no matter what it is you're at, where you're at or what you're carrying, the ability to change that. And the NHS, so important, especially probably 99% women, certainly that I experienced, the ability to have that awareness and have the tools and techniques when they're going into work, because I can only imagine how difficult it is if you've been up half the night with stress or you can't sleep or you've had a panic attack and then have to go in and face a 12-hour shift and do the things that they do. You couldn't do that job or that work for money. That's a vocation. That's a literal vocation where you're giving your life away to help other people find relief in their time of need. So the desire came through, the intention came through, and here's what I'm going to do. And it's taken the last 5 or 6 weeks. We have been able to, take from what we've got from the programme that's been running for the last 2 years now. And the gift is very, very simple. It's an opportunity and it's an invitation to learn some really critical skills that make everything better. So the ability, and it's based on primarily breath work. It starts off with a wee bit of awareness and the desire to do it in a different way, so a wee bit of intention to make it better for yourself. And then the work that's required is so wonderful in the way that it makes you feel and how it makes not only you better, but every single thing that's run about you better. Is a set of tools and a set of modalities that are based on Mother Nature. And they're based on getting the body back into balance, getting the body back into coherence. They're based on breath work. It starts off with breath work, so learning to breathe properly and with correct function. It'd be interesting to see the amount of people that work in the National Health Service that have no idea, the power in the breath when you learn how to breathe properly, and the impact and the benefit that can have to obviously themselves as they make their way through the day, but also to those that are healing. I learned so much from one of my teachers, Patrick McFadyen. I studied with him going back, 4 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Patrick, I believe, he's the man in terms of breath work in the world. That's backed with science. It's no lying down and getting some spiritual experience or none of that kind of stuff. Like hard science in terms of if you do this, this is the benefits you're going to get. And that's a practice I've been, in my daily life for the last 4 or 5 years. I've been teaching it, functional breathwork, for the last 4 or 5 years, the ability to, take it in correctly in terms of, the chemistry within your body, taking it into the correct areas of your body, how the lungs are supposed to work, the speed that you breathe, and very quickly, when you learn 3 really basic, basic awarenesses as to what you're actually trying to do with breathwork, when you bring that in a specific way to a certain area of the lungs at a certain speed and a certain pace, then the body very quickly, you start to find that you can actually manage every single cell in your body, all the 12 systems of the body, the ability to manage stress, which is the biggest thing. That's the one that trips everybody up, being in a state of chronic stress all the time. And I hear somebody talking about panic attacks, or they can't sleep, or you see them being agitated. That's just stress. And it's fascinating in this day, 2026, where so few people, especially professional healthcare providers, that they don't know how to breathe properly. And it's the one thing, it's the one thing that we all do. And it's the one thing, that ability to manage your autonomic nervous system, and to bring, every single bit of you, back into the now, to get out your head, to basically slow the mind down, and to reconnect and to remember, to go back inside yourself, and to reconnect and to remember that how you're able to feel, how you're supposed to feel. So the gift is really a gift of well-being. It's a gift of the ability to feel good. It's the ability to, day by day, get to a place where you've got a choice to make, and as you walk through the doors, to be the best that you can. And the only way you really get that is to get it for yourself first. I teach selfishness. I'm a very selfish person, and what I mean by that is that I get it for myself first and foremost every single day. I tend to myself every single day. For the longest time, I would be waking up, if I had slept, I'd be in stress. I would rattle on the coffee machine, I would run out the door, and get the Waynes to school, or even before that, just in a constant state of chronic stress and inflammation and overthinking, not sleeping, eating the wrong foods, driven like just this kind of runaway train. And you can do that for a short period of time, and probably most significantly, if you're not able to sleep, and even sleeping at the right level, it's fine to be able to shut your eyes and switch off and disappear, but if you're not getting to the right level, you're not able to, the body's not allowed or able to recover or heal properly. And again, when you're under chronic stress and you're in that sympathetic nervous system, so you're in a constant state of fight and flight, then eventually, that leads to dis-ease. The cells start to break down. The body gets very much out of coherence, and the dis-ease, the challenges that we're facing in the world just now, every single dis-ease comes from stress, chronic stress, inflammation, which comes from so many different areas. The food that we eat, the environment that we're in, what's coming through the phones, the Wi-Fi, what you're doing in your head is so important, where you're spending your time. And more often than not, you find people in this state of chronic stress, like switched on. It's like a figure eight, I call it, this never-ending figure eight loop, of just stimulus, response, questions, answers, distractions, the amount of images that we see, the amount of information we're exposed to. It's a constant stimulation, which, in your waking hours, there's not really that much you can do about it. Once you become aware of it, then you can start to navigate and steer away from that. But the challenge that most people face is if you're taking that home at night time and you're taking that to your bed, the amount of people that are sitting on their phones and then getting baked with Wi-Fi the whole night, and drinking and eating the wrong foods, it's switching on the nervous system that's putting you into that, even amplifying that chronic state of stress. Then obviously they're not sleeping properly, and then the minute they wake up or get up the next day, to drag yourself out of bed, the first thing that goes on is a coffee machine, and then it's the medications to try and manage your mental health, or your physical well-being, pain relief, all that kind of stuff. Then you get into this kind of vicious cycle where you're getting further and further away from our natural state of being. And the really interesting thing is that every single thing that we need in terms of the pharmacology required to deal with all of that is more than capable and more than available inside every single one of us. And there is a way to do that. You just need to listen to people like Bruce Lipton talking about epigenetics and the ability to influence what's being regenerated within the body. I was at the dentist the other day, and the age that I'm at now, and she was talking about one of the things the dental hygienist said was it's impossible to, regenerate your bone once you start to lose it. So get forward to losing your teeth as you get older. And I'm thinking, well, there's an offer. That's like an embedded or an unconscious command for me to take that on board. And most people would just believe that. And that's one of the challenges with, the whole medical profession, is that they've got a very limited and set way of doing things. And the minute she said it, with the best intention, she was warning me. But I was like, right, okay, so how do I regenerate bone? And then you watch Bruce Lipton talking about, how proteins are created and how the expression of the gene and how that's very much determined on, primarily what you're thinking and what you believe, but also the environment, or the culture medium, as you would call it, the environment with the blood and within the internal systems of the body, which is your food. So the belief system to do things in a different way, and to start to learn, how to reverse the aging process and start to learn how to, not just heal yourself, which I'm doing just now on so many different fronts. I've got a couple of bits of infection in my gums over the last wee bit, and even just since I became aware of that, and she actually said that to me again, it was a sore one at a time, it kind of ruined my day a wee bit, and I came back and I'm like, right, okay, so how do I regenerate bone? How do I start to deal with the infection? What responsibility do I need to take? And I've added that into my daily practices, which has been fascinating. So the tending to the self first, looking after yourself first, being selfish, that's an absolute starter for anybody, but especially when you're in that line of work. When you're walking through the doors into the wards, if you've not got your shit together and you're the very best version of you that day, then for the next 12 hours, the concern would be, as I saw many times with my mum, was the level of care that she got and how it actually made her sicker. They were bringing in dis-ease to her. Why? Because they never had their own shit together. The way some of them at the time, watching some of the nurses and even a couple of the women, there was one woman in particular, would do the meals. And I remember Mum was in the bed right next to the door, and the woman's her language was just incredible, and just ignorance. Ignorance was her only sin. She was absolutely massive, clinically obese, always morbidly obese, and she was dishing up the food. And what she said was, that it was carbonara. That carbonara would give you the bulk, and everybody in the ward heard it, And then they're taking this pile of just looked like sickness, if I'm honest, and then try to give that to somebody, who. It's that, and that's to try and help you heal. That's there. That fuel is to build the body and allow the cells to get the nutrients from it, and it's just very, very challenging to watch that. So at the time I was very vocal about that. I caused a wee bit of a disturbance by saying that a lot of the people, number one, you can't do that job for money, as I mentioned earlier on, and if you've not got it right for yourself, if you can't look after yourself and you can't care for yourself, it's very, very difficult, to give that to other people. And that's why that job is a vocation. You shouldn't be doing it. If you're in that job for money, you shouldn't be there. No question about it. So tending to yourself and really being the very best version of yourself, that's something that is a starter for 10 every single day, and it doesn't need to be sitting. I allow 2 hours every single morning for my practices, between the breath work and a wee bit of meditation, a wee bit of breath work, and then the movement that I'm doing, all designed to get the energy flowing properly within my body, all designed to give my body, my physical body, and the well-being that I seek. Give myself a gift every single day. It doesn't need to be that. It can be 10 minutes, sitting in your car before you go through the doors. And taking stock, and I suppose really remembering what it is that you're doing, and what it is that you signed up for. On the nth degree, remembering who you are, and in that job, and what I saw with the literal angels, and the goodness that was in almost every single one of them, without exception. Then if you get it for yourself, if you tend to yourself, if you look after yourself, if you start to become more aware, and by simply feeling better and feeling good. This is actually very simple. When you feel really good, and you're in that job, then the ability to help other people becomes easy. With me, in the way that I'm feeling just now, and this is where this is all coming from, I haven't felt this good in perhaps my adult life since I've been on this journey, and it's because of the last 8 weeks and the pain and suffering that I've been through, and the way that I'm tending to myself, the way that I'm looking after myself. the metaphysical, experiences that I'm getting, these quantum shifts that are taking place just now, the amount of information that's coming through me, then because I'm feeling so good, my desire is to help the many, to take it to more people. That's what this is coming from. And how that feeds into the NHS, and the people that are working within that. If you get it for yourself first and you feel good within yourself, if you go away and you tune into this, and the way that it works is dead simple. There's a series of recordings. There's probably, I think there's 5 or 6 recordings on it. Explains a wee bit about what it is, the vortex. There are no strings attached. This is a gift. This is a free gift. That we're not going to try and sell you anything. We're going to try and give you anything. If you want, and you want to pass it on and give other people access to it, fantastic. But that isn't what it's about. It's a literal gift that you can basically put in your phone. You can sign up for the app, and by hitting the button, you can basically either put in a set of headphones on or a set of the earplugs. I know that I'm fond of them, but the ability to go in, learn how to breathe with proper function, learn how to switch off your stress, learn how to deal with your anxiety, learn how to experience peace of mind at any time of the day, learn how to get to sleep at night time. One of the recordings on it is all about how to get to sleep, how to leave the day behind, which is so significant, because these are human beings. These beautiful souls that are working in these places, they're human beings, and the stuff that they see every single day, and as one of the nurses said to me, you become immune to it. It's like, do you really? When you're seeing people dying and people that you've been caring for and looking after for sometimes months before it actually happens. Obviously, there's an investment, and the compassion as a human being, human to human, and watching them going through that. How you deal with that? The post-traumatic stress that comes with that, how you don't take that home, or how you let that affect you as little as possible, how you leave it at the door, as I used to say when I was coming in for work, how you leave it behind, leave the stress and the strain so I don't spew all my family and give it to them. That's so important, and that comes through basic awareness, and the ability to, let it go, like physically let it go, get it out of your head, get it out of your body so you're not carrying it. So very simply, it's about well-being, it's about feeling good, the ability to calm your nervous system, the ability to manage your nervous system. Sometimes you need to switch it on a wee bit, sometimes you might be feeling tired or lethargic, and then the power of the breath, how you manage that nervous system, how we breathe and why we breathe. Why we breathe is to generate energy. That's the reason for breathing. That life force, the inspiration that comes in, and you mix it with how it goes into the body and the fuel that it mixes with, and how it creates the mitochondria that basically enables us to do every single thing we require, from growing your nails to growing your hair to thinking, to being the very best version of yourself, to healing the body, to get the body back to its optimal state. The breath is the one way that we can do that. That's the conscious way that we're able to influence so many different systems within the body, and at that point, when you've slept properly, when you've got a good night's sleep, and you're switched off and you get a break, the thought of just having this continuous, never-ending loop, like work stress, home stress, repeat, never-ending day after day, is surely, and obviously through time, then the ability to help other people. If you're getting worse and worse every single day yourself, that diminishes through time. So this is the ability to stop it. This is the ability to take back your control. This is the ability to remember, why you're doing it and who you are, and your reasons for being in that work. And the byproduct, is everybody wins. The level of care when you go through the doors, how you're able to, do what you do in a different way, simply because you're feeling better. And that's the intention with it. So to reset and to reconnect, to remember the goodness that's inside every single one of us, that's the intention. And just yesterday in meditation, the NHS, that's been ready for just this week. It's ready. It'll be going live this weekend, and I'm not going into the way to do it is basically through word of mouth. Share it, please, if you can. And there's already a member of the community who's got 6 of our friends, nurses, that are lined up. And in fact, in Hogmanay, it was just brilliant, because I've been thinking about this, how we get this into the NHS, do we go and, because I've tried stuff like this before, and it's probably never been the right time, and I've never had the product before, or the ability, to do it that we've got just now. We've already got all the recordings, we've got the team that can create all this stuff, so we're in a place now we can actually do it probably for the first time. And I'm sitting in meditation, I'm sure it was Hogmanay, and I'm thinking about, so what's the best way to take this in? How do we get this in there? It's like, because it's it's a natural health service. That's what this is, and it's so basic, like learning to breathe properly, learning to switch off your stress, learning to meditate. There's a bit of meditation in there for anybody who's interested. Meditation is the reconnection process back to the divinity that we carry inside of us. Again, it's to normalise that so that it becomes a practice that's available to everybody. That is so important, to know who we are as a species, especially in these really difficult times. And I'm sitting, thinking about the different videos that are going to go into it and thinking the intention behind it and how we're going to feed it in. And I've been speaking to one or two of the nurses by text about it's nearly there, we're getting there, and it's coming, and thanks for your patience, all this kind of stuff. And I received a message later on that night from one of the girls who just joined the programme just before Christmas, and basically saying, look, I've just played one of the recordings from the programme from the community. There's hundreds of hours on the community. There's all different breathworks and relaxations and meditations, and there's so many different things. And she said, I've just played one of the recordings to the group, of staff that are in here tonight. I don't know how many, there's a load of them. And they're all basically sitting in one of the hospitals, sitting, doing breathwork, doing relaxation, letting go of the stress and the strain and the noise and the drama and everything that comes with that. And reconnecting and getting probably half an hour to themselves, where they're able to switch off and reboot, because when you go into those states, it's like a light sleep where the entire body's switched off but your heart's wide open. And when you're in that space, then that's where the miraculous takes place, and what you'll find is you come back a different human being. Wayne Dyer taught me that 1 hour of meditation is the same of 8 hours sleep. That's why I've never really slept that much. I'm probably sleeping more just now than I've slept my entire life. And the great thing was when she sent me the text on, I'm sure it was Hug Money, and I thought, we're already in there. My intention in meditation is to get it in there. How it gets in there, we're not going to the top brass, we're not going to try and take it in and sell it I don't mean sell it, but sell them the idea to please pass this on. That never ever works. It doesn't work, especially when you're giving somebody something for nothing. I think there's a catch in it. So to think that it's already in there, and that entire, that ward experienced, the power that's in this work, through guided breath work, relaxation, getting out of their heads, giving themselves a chance to stop, experiencing peace of mind, getting back into their hearts, getting back into themselves, and remember the important stuff and remembering the goodness that they carry inside them. At that point, it's like the evidence is, this has been guided just now. The stuff that's coming through has been so guided in so many different ways, not just myself, but the inner circle within the vortex. We're all in the same place. There's so many ideas just now as to how we're going to take this forward. So it's already in there and it's not even been released yet. But this weekend it will be released. And the way you get on about it is dead simple. There will be a link attached to this video. I will be there'll be a few posts getting shared on the socials. And anybody who works with NHS, anybody who works within the ambulance service, all you need to do is to basically follow the link, and then send in your email address, and then you'll be sent the link to basically join the app. You're not going to join the main community. That's something very, very different. This is just something you can access, and you'll be able to see, what we're actually doing, how this is helping people, and gain access to the recordings. So functional breathing, how we experience peace of mind, relaxation. There's one called Slumber Party, which is the one that puts people to sleep. That seems to be the most popular one. How you switch off your head and leave the day behind and experience a deep replenishing, that recovery sleep that's required for the body to heal itself. And then you're on your way. We never need to hear from you again. You don't need to. You probably will. In fact, you will be sent update emails if there's any updates. You can unsubscribe at any time, and the intention is as a gift to help you, remember and reconnect, back to, what's your reasons for doing it? Why do you do that job? And then, taking that in so that other people, the ones that you're helping, the ones that you're serving, the ones that you're caring for, so that everybody benefits. So that's it. It's going live for those who serve the gift. And on the back of that, now this came through in meditation. Why stop there? Why do we need to stop with NHS? Because anybody who's in the service industry, anybody who helps people as a job, as a vocation, and some don't really know they're doing that, and that's okay. But once this rolls out and once we get because there will be teething problems, of course there is, in the online system and the glitches, and just need to work out, what the involvement is in terms of the manpower required to help people that are struggling to navigate and get on about it. Then the next step is to take it to the fire service, to take it to the military, to take it to the police, the educational system at all levels, so from preschool into the primary schools and then into the secondary schools as well, so we can help the teachers. I hear that very often, and in fact I see it. My wife's had a children's daycare nursery for the last 25 years, and I've watched that change over the last probably 5 or 6 years. And what the ladies, most of them are ladies, are having to deal with, with these kids that are coming in with, and you hear it in schools as well, the stress that kids are under, the different challenges that the young people, from babies right up to, they go to university or go to work, that they're facing, and then the impact that has on the teachers, that can't do their job because they're dealing with, the stresses and the strains of other people. So the ability for them, to feel good before they go to work. And then it'll feed into the civil servants as well. The people that help, the people that, that make your life easier. Every time I see the refuse collectors, the bin men, and it's normally battering down with rain, it's like, I'm so grateful to them, and I always thank them. I always look at me as if I'm mental, but I'm really grateful to them, for the job that they do. I was at the dump yesterday, down at the Cowp yesterday, and one of the guys down there I've got a bit of a relationship with, and just watching him, he was on himself, and there was a queue right out the door, probably 20 cars waiting to get in. And just watching him, helping people, and it's like, so at that point, for me, if I can help them, and help him feel better, and enjoy his day better, and give people a better experience when they come in to dump their rubbish, then what that does for me, that's me then fulfilling my potential, that the greatness that I'm experiencing by simply giving that gift to others. Then that's what it's all about. So it's really for anyone who helps others within any industry. It doesn't matter what it is: the fire service, the military, the police, education, the civil servants. It's for everybody, but it starts off with the NHS, and it's going to be live this weekend. So that's where we are, number 74 for those who serve. And I'm excited by this. I'm looking forward to this. The way that it's came through me, the way the team have responded to it, the intentions from us to take this to the world and to help as many people as we can. Very simply, remember. So this is all about remembering the power that we carry inside of us, remembering the goodness that we human beings, that we brought into this world and that we carry inside our hearts and inside our souls. And that's sometimes, more often than not, it's very easy, and a lot of people have forgot it. It's easy to forget. When you get caught up in the stress, if you're under stress and you're not sleeping properly and you're in this kind of never-ending loop, you're not getting out of the bit, then what I see every single day with this work is by simply helping people reconnect, and switch off the stress and get out their heads, and experience peace of mind, and experience like deep relaxation, and get to that state where the world starts to change and you start to feel in a different way. Add into that, getting a wee bit excited, feeling good, getting a wee bit of happiness and some joy back in your life. That's how we fix the world. So with the greatest good, for the greatest good always, and with the best of intentions, this one is for those who serve, the gift. And excited to see how this goes. God bless, take it easy, peace out, have a fantastic day wherever you are, and bye for now.